Hi, good morning all. So today we're going to talk about how to write your title because title is one of the most significant pieces of a research paper. So as you can see, this is my dummy research paper. And over here you will always find a title. Now students write, for example, like the best example that I have. So I had a student who was working in agriculture using artificial intelligence, right? So he or she wrote something like this: E-Agriculture in Artificial Intelligence. That was the title of the paper, right? Now, if you look at this particular term, you'll realize that E is electronic and agriculture is one field in itself. And similarly, AI is very broad. AI, ML, deep learning, and there are so many things, right? AI, ML, deep learning. So if I'm saying कि ये पूरा इस AI को भी cover कर रहा है, for example, if I'm using this title, that simply means that this entire area is covered, which includes ML as well as deep learning, which means that agriculture is also included, and which also means that electronic section, the ICT section, is also included. Now, this becomes very huge. This is not a practically feasible title or a practically feasible area. That's why let me start. I think this would be an easier way to go about it. So, if I go to Scholar, right? If we go to this particular website, Google Scholar, and we look at these titles, see, blockchain technology for cyber security, a text mining literature analysis, right? Every word has a significance. I will not get into this. Something else. Let's go for this. Share chain, blockchain enabled model for sharing patient data using federated learning and differential policy. Let's go for more. Do we have anything else other than blockchain? See, look at this. A review of this one. A review of blockchain based secure sharing of healthcare data. So इस टाइटल से क्या समझ में आ रहा है? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट्स a review. Second, the area is blockchain, right? Under blockchain, we are saying only we're talking about blockchain based secure sharing. Sharing is communicating. Sharing में आपके protocols भी आ जाएंगे. You'll cover the stacks also. And the moment you use the word secure, that means you have to look at the security aspect as well. And then we're talking about healthcare data, right? So a review of blockchain based secure sharing of healthcare data. अब देखो इस टाइटल को ब्रेक डाउन करने की कोशिश करो. गो एनालिटिकली, राइट? दैट इज़ हाउ आई गो अबाउट थिंग्स एंड दैट इज़ हाउ आई वुड वांट यू टू गो अबाउट थिंग्स. We're doing that only in an educational institute. We're making you more capable. So try to look for things in a very granular manner. जो चीज़ तुम्हें समझ में आ जाएगी वो हमेशा आसान लगेगी. जो चीज़ तुम्हें मुश्किल लग रही है इसका मतलब तुम्हें समझ में नहीं आई, राइट? सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, फर्स्ट कीवर्ड इज रिव्यू. Review is first keyword. Second keyword is blockchain. Third keyword is secure. Fourth is sharing. And fifth, even like the most important one, is healthcare data. So many keywords are here. तो वो इसको तोड़ते हैं हम, ठीक है? How to decrease this size? I don't think I can decrease it. Yes. रिव्यू का मतलब होता है, बहुत सारे तरीके के पेपर होते हैं, वो मैं अलग उस पर बताऊँगी. बट रिव्यू का मतलब जितने भी पास्ट पेपर्स लिखे गए हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल 2010 से लेके 2020 तक, राइट, उनको मैं रिव्यू कर रही हूँ इन दिस पेपर. इफ़ आई एम द ऑथर ऑफ दिस पेपर, आई एम गोइंग टू रिव्यू. एंड वंस आई एम रिव्यूइंग, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई सेंट यू इन अ क्लॉथ शॉप. अगर मैं तुम्हें कपड़े की दुकान पर भेज दूँ, ठीक है, और मैं बोलूँ कि ज़रा रिव्यू करके आना दुकान कैसी है, क्या करोगे तुम? You're going to look at all the clothes, all the textures, all the variations, and then you're going to say कि इसमें ना साड़ी का मटेरियल तो अच्छा है बट सूट का मटेरियल अच्छा नहीं है, और जेंट्स के तो कपड़ों में रेमंड के सूट के अलावा कुछ है ही नहीं. That is your commentary about it, right? Same goes for a review. You know, a researcher or a scholar reads all these papers and then they comment कि क्या अच्छा था और क्या बुरा था और क्या आगे किया जा सकता है. What is the way forward? Right? That is what review means. A review of what? Blockchain. Now blockchain जैसे AI है ना, यहाँ पे इतना बड़ा टर्म है. Similarly blockchain is also one technology. It is a technology. तो हम सिर्फ ब्लॉकचेन नहीं बोल रहे. वी नॉट राइटिंग अ रिव्यू ऑफ ब्लॉकचेन. यहाँ मेरा टाइटल ख़त्म नहीं हो गया. मेरा टाइटल यहाँ से मोरला शुरू हुआ है. ब्लॉकचेन बेस्ड सिक्योर शेयरिंग. If you asked me, these are the most important keywords, right? Because they're talking about, first of all, security, and they're talking about sharing. These two keywords become very important. लेकिन ये भी अपने आप में बहुत broad हो जाएगा. Because I will have to talk about blockchain as well as security, which is again huge. Blockchain as well as security. Or I'll have to talk about sharing of data. तो when I made this third circle, मेरा intersection का एरिया थोड़ा सा कम हो गया, राइट? अब इसको और फिल्टर डाउन करने के लिए एक और कीवर्ड यहाँ यूज़ किया गया, हेल्थ केयर डेटा. डेटा कितने सारे तरीके का होता है. इंडस्ट्रियल अलग है, सेफ्टी अलग है, यू नो, अगेन हेल्थ केयर अलग है. There's so many categories of data that is available out there. So when we're talking about security, when we're talking about sharing, when we're talking about blockchain, and this particular review is saying that I'm talking about healthcare data, that means anything other than this healthcare data is something that we can safely opt out. हम उसको ignore कर सकते हैं. Mandatory नहीं होता. Supposedly तुम्हें Industry 4.0 का data मिला which was good. You found the same review, for example, a review of blockchain based secure sharing of Industry 4.0 based data, right? So उसमें सिर्फ इसी का रेफरेंस यूज़ होगा. यू कैन रीड इसका रेफरेंस ऑल्सो, रिव्यू इसका भी पढ़ सकते हो और उसको तुम इसमें ऐड कर सकते हो. ऐसे कोई मनाही नहीं होती. बट इफ़ यू डोंट वांट टू देन यू कैन ऑप्ट आउट. यू डोंट हैव टू रीड अबाउट अदर एरियाज. इफ़ यू आर कंसर्न विद हेल्थ केयर यू रीड ओनली अबाउट हेल्थ केयर. वन मोर थिंग इसी चीज़ पे मैं बताना चाहूँगी तुम्हें कि जैसा ये टाइटल था, कई बार ना हमें समझ नहीं आता कि हमें कैसे चलना है, कैसे करना है. तो यू कैन पिक द वेरी सेम टाइटल, राइट? And instead of healthcare data, you find out about different types of data and you use a different area. So that way you'll have the title, that way you'll have the basic structure, you'll have the methodology, you'll know that some people have already done the work in that manner. That will make the entire thing easier for you. If I randomly ask you कि title ले आओ और ये कर दो, it would be very difficult. But if you go via this particular strategy, it would be very, very easy for you. For example, let's go for the share chain. Now they've named their model. नाम उन्होंने रख दिया share chain. Then they're saying blockchain enabled model for sharing patient data. So first of all it is a model. Second it is a blockchain enabled model. So blockchain तो fundamental हो गया वहाँ पे. Blockchain enabled model for sharing patient data. Now they're talking about again healthcare related data. They're talking about sharing, right? So they will not be worried about storage or whatever. They will only be worried about sharing. Using federated learning and differential policy. Now this is where uniqueness comes into this title. Why did I open it? This is where uniqueness comes into that title. अगर इतना होता ना blockchain enabled model for sharing patient data, तो इतने मॉडल ऑलरेडी पड़े हुए हैं, तुम रिव्यू करते भी थक जाते हैं क्योंकि इतना ब्रॉड एरिया हो गया, राइट? यू हैव टू फिल्टर इट डाउन. सो द मोमेंट दे सेड यूजिंग फेडरेटेड लर्निंग एंड डिफरेंशियल पॉलिसी, दे फिल्टर्ड इट डाउन. नाउ दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अ वेरी नैरो थिंग विच कैन बी टैकल्ड. रियलिस्टिक लगती है वो प्रॉब्लम. अगर तुम छोटा मतलब बड़ा बड़ा रख लोगे टाइटल तो इट वुड नॉट बी रियलिस्टिक किसी भी सेंस में. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये देखो, ये वर्थ है. ब्लॉकचेन सिमुलेटर्स अ सिस्टमैटिक मैपिंग स्टडी. नाउ दिस is going to be a huge study because उन्होंने बोल दिया it is a systematic study. So systematic study is a huge study by itself. That is why titles are important. What keywords you're using in those titles are very, very important. See, this is the paper. Blockchain simulators. They're talking about only the simulators that are available in blockchain. So if I had to go for ideas, I would pick up this paper and maybe go for IoT based simulators, or maybe I go for machine learning based simulators or cloud based simulators, virtualization based simulators. You pick up one area and you find it out what are the different simulators that are available. For example, you have मोबाइल एडहॉक नेटवर्क्स के बहुत सारे सिमुलेटर होते हैं, नेटवर्क्स के बहुत सारे सिमुलेटर्स होते हैं. So you can do a study, a systematic mapping study, and for that you will be going through it. You'll have to break this paper down like line by line, reference by reference. You see how many references are there. So I just wanted to show you, but I'm unable to zoom this out. Wait. Chalo. Introduction, preliminaries, related work, research methodology, study results. These are the sections. Just reading it out quickly for you. This is a beautiful table, and then there is a discussion. Right? And this is how I get material. Now I have I have a paper to discuss in my next video. You'll have to break down. देखो बच्चा, line by line जब तक तुम break down नहीं करोगे, you will not learn, right? So if they're talking about simulators, देखो, just let's think about it. If they're talking about simulators, there are so many things that we can think about simulators. लेकिन वैसे सोचेंगे तो लगेगा हाँ ये भी हो सकता है, वो भी हो सकता है. But when you actually sit down to work, you're unable to find sections, you're unable to find lines, you're unable to find papers. That's where these things come very handy, because once you break it, if I start from this particular paragraph, I'll read what they're talking about, right? I'll get to know what is the question, what is the objective. For example, हमेशा देखना, हमेशा introduction के अंदर ना last के दो paragraphs ने, they always tell you about what they're doing in this paper, right? So what they are doing here, this paper intends to examine existing blockchain simulators, highlight their features and identify possible challenges. यहाँ रिसर्च हुआ. देखो, सिमुलेटर ऑलरेडी बने हुए हैं, तुम बना नहीं रहे हो. यू आर एग्जामिनिंग एग्जिस्टिंग ब्लॉकचेन सिमुलेटर्स. You are highlighting their features. In order to highlight their features, you will have to recognize their features. In order to recognize those features, you'll have to go to those websites and find out कि अच्छा इसमें क्या feature है जो इसमें नहीं है, right? Then they are saying and identify possible challenges. This is the area, मतलब ये जो लिख दी ना इससे line and identify possible challenges, it is a very significant line, because when you will be reviewing, when you'll be going through those simulators, you'll have to see कि इसमें क्या चीज़ पॉसिबल है, क्या नहीं है, बिकॉज प्रोज होंगे तो कॉन्स भी होंगे, है ना. To accomplish this task, a systematic mapping study was chosen as the methodology, in line with the systematic mapping process shown in 13. Now this is a reference paper. The way I'm saying कि तुम इस, जैसे मैंने खोला ये और मैंने कहा इस वैसे पेपर को तुम रेफरेंस ले लो, सिमिलरली इन्होंने कोई पेपर रेफरेंस में लिया है, and they've given the credit to that particular paper. They've cited that paper, right? Following this, related papers are scanned from scientific databases and a map of existing blockchain-related systems has been subsequently developed. This map provides structured data and an in-depth insight in the domain of blockchain simulators. Now, these are beautiful lines, and if you look at this paragraph, there is line 1, then there is line 2, then there is line 3, and then there is line 4. There are 4 lines in this one particular paragraph, right? And every line has its place, every line has its significance. These words, right, you'll have to reread again and again. For example, this particular paragraph, if you are using this as a base paper, you will have to read it twice, 5 times, 7 times. You'll have to read it until unless these words become yours. Then you look at the last paragraph. हमेशा introduction का last paragraph तुम्हें ऐसा ही मिलेगा. The remainder of this paper is organized as follows. It just shows how your paper is structured, right? Now coming back, I've just gone a little bit sidetracked. I'll save this paper. Coming back to how to write your title, right? So the best way to write your title is to, why is it not working? I will continue this video because my pencil is discharged, so I can't write. I'll continue this very soon. And whatever questions you have, see, every person is different, and everyone who is listening to me is going to listen to this at different points in space and time, right? So that gives me enough scope to answer your queries. You can use the comment box to ask questions. But please know this for a fact that not everything will be served to you on a platter. You'll have to make your own way, right? Use these cues as something that are making sense and that are helping you in the process. But at the end of the day, you'll have to make that creative muscle, right? You'll have to make it will just work for 2 minutes because I charged it for 10 seconds. You'll have to flex your creative muscle. You'll have to strengthen this muscle of doing it. जो नाइकी का symbol है ना, do it. वो सेट योर आइज टू इट, देखो. इम्पॉसिबल कुछ भी नहीं होता, नथिंग इज इम्पॉसिबल. वी डू फील इंटिमिडेटेड इज़ द वर्ड कि कैसे होगा, ये होगा, वो होगा. और दूसरा इज़ वी आर वेरी वेरी शैलो, है ना. सो रिकोगनाइज गार्बेज फॉर गार्बेज, because the first thing or the first title that you're going to write will be garbage. And if you associate yourself too much, क्योंकि तुमने 5 घंटा लगाया, you spent 5 hours to come up with a title T1, and you got it reviewed by some other people, and they said that it is garbage. In your heart you also know that it is garbage, but since you've spent 5 hours you feel like nahi, yahi acha hai, this is the best that I can do. I would request you कि यहाँ पे एक डे का ब्रेक लेना, फिर दोबारा 5 घंटे लगाना, एंड देन राइट अनदर टाइटल. Title 2. Now this is not going to be garbage. I can guarantee you that this is not going to be garbage. And those 5 hours and this space, this window, this day that you've given to yourself, इसको repetition में डाल दो. Review your titles. Titles are something that keep on evolving with the body of the paper, right? Body of the paper के साथ वो evolve करता रहेगा. For example, you started with one title which simply says cyber security trends and challenges. ये तुमने टाइटल पहले सोचा कि मुझे तो इस पे करना है, ठीक है, गुड, नथिंग रॉन्ग विद द टाइटल. बट वंस यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग, तुम ट्रेंड्स पढ़ने शुरू करोगे, यू विल रियलाइज दैट दिस इज समथिंग आई कैन नॉट टैकल. तुम सिर्फ चैलेंजेस टैकल करने लगोगे, तुम्हें समझ आएगा दिस इज समथिंग आई कैन नॉट टैकल, राइट? सो यू विल रिव्यू इट. यू विल दोबारा से तुम आके बोलोगे ब्रीफ रिव्यू, राइट? ब्रीफ में छोटा हो गया, अ ब्रीफ रिव्यू ऑफ साइबर सिक्योरिटी चैलेंजेस. फिर तुम्हें समझ में आएगा कि नहीं यार, ओनली चैलेंजेस इज समथिंग दैट आई कैन नॉट डू. देन यू आर गोइंग टू रीफ्रेम इट. 2 दिन बाद वापस इस टाइटल पे आओगे, फिर तुम लिखोगे अ रिव्यू ऑफ cyber security in a particular area, like maybe you talk about cyber security is a very broad word. It was wrong of me to use it. In blockchain maybe, in IoT maybe, and then you will write challenges and